You know, niggas gotta get their priorities together. Got their mind on the wrong things, spending their money in the wrong way.
Trapaholics, real trap shit.
Say you need that car with the rims and a charm, just like Jim. It's more than life. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Talk to him.
Say you need that LV bag
For what?
with the belt and the hat.
That's all you got though.
It's more than life. Yeah.
Talk to him. Real.
Say you wanna turn up at the club,
Why?
buy some bottles, impress them girls.
what?
It's more than life.
Oh, fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And who dat? And I'm Ethan. And I hope everyone is staying warm on this chilly weather. No matter where you are in the United States right now, unless you're in Florida or some far south area of the state. I think majority of people are being affected by this. A lot of the state is being affected by single digit or negative degree weather. So on this holiday season, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate, I hope you're having a great holiday seasons, whatever traditions you celebrate. But if nothing else, I just hope you're staying warm and inside. If no, unless you just have to be outside or go outside, I suggest you stay inside and try to stay warm because it is very cold out there. But on Saturday, our Saints they will have to get out in it. But let's talk about some things that maybe don't directly relate to that. And we're talking about the Pro Bowl and if some players got snubbed or not. So let's get into some of that, and then maybe we'll get into the injury reports and talk about the game a little bit. So can I get a menu and the Pro Bowl? It's been a while since the Saints hadn't had seems like almost half of their roster in the Pro Bowl. It seems like the last 4 or 5 years the Saints have had, seems like five, six. The 2008, 18 season, 2019 season, it seemed like they had almost 10 players in the Pro Bowl. But this is the first season, man. It's just seems to be getting sadder and sadder in the post Drew Brees, post Sean Payton season. This is the first season where they had just one player that was officially on the Pro Bowl roster. And finally, we're talking about Pro Bowl snubs or nah. It's actually Demario Davis, who's probably gotten snubbed, honestly, has been getting snubbed the last 3 years or so. He came to the Saints in 2018, so 18, 19, 20, 21. So he's actually, I would say that he had honestly gotten snubbed, has been snubbed the last 4 years or so. And I would say this really hasn't been his best season out of those last 4 years. I would say besides the sack numbers, I would say this has actually kind of been a down year for Demario Davis. He's 33, 34 years old. I think it's fair to say that you've kind of seen a little bit of a slippage in play, a little bit of decline in Demario Davis. If nothing else, it's kind of been that sideline to sideline speed. He doesn't really have that necessarily anymore. He's still good. He's still got that speed, but then he also kind of misses tackles that you would never see Demario Davis ever miss. He would never miss. Before that, you'd never really see Demario Davis miss tackles, and he always be the last line of defense when it came to like the sideline speed. Like he's always there. But the thing that he still has, that I think is getting him those sack numbers. He has 6.5 right now. Is that he still has that veteran strength, that grown man strength that allows him to bull over centers and guards to get him to be able to power through the middle of offensive lines to get him those sacks. But it's just kind of funny that in the Saints down year and then kind of a down year, he's still having a tremendous season. Demario Davis is finally the year that he makes the Pro Bowl, and then no other Saint makes the Pro Bowl. But I just think that's kind of funny. And then the Saints also had some alternates, and these are just kind of funny names for players that made the alternates. So Tyrann Mathieu, he made the the alternate team as a safety, and it was kind of uh, uh, was going to be kind of interesting to see if he made the Pro Bowl because he was leading all safeties in Pro Bowl votes off of fan votes, but he ended up not making the Pro Bowl outright and only ended up making it as a alternate, which that just shows you alone that the Pro Bowl is obviously just a popularity contest because off of Tyrann Mathieu' play the majority of this season, he really didn't deserve to make the Pro Bowl. Like he played, I think the Saints fans and for the most part were maybe a little hard on Tyrann Mathieu at times, but he definitely was not Pro Bowl worthy, and that's really surprising that he led in in fan votes. There must have been some Arizona Cardinal fans and some Chief fans that were definitely voting for him, or I don't know how many Saints fans were voting for him to be on the Pro Bowl roster, but he definitely did not play up to that level. And then these two are just funny to me as well because it's like, how do you even really grade these players' performance? But then you have fullback Adam Prentice and long snapper Zach Woods. Like, how do you even really grade Zach a long snapper? I guess if you never notice him, he never has a bad long snap, or he never allows a punt to be blocked. I guess that's how you know that he's good. So I guess I need to knock on knock on wood, Zach Wood, that not neither one of those happens for the remainder of the season. But yeah, out of all those, so I really don't disagree with any of these, other than maybe the Tyrann Mathieu making it as the alternate. But I can't disagree with any of that. I don't really think any Saints player deserved to make the Pro Bowl rosters. The only ones that I can really think of is, and he's hurt now anyways, is maybe Cesar Ruiz. I think he played really well as the Saints' best offensive line and the offensive lineman, offensive guard. I think he was really good for the majority of the season. Played at a high level, was their best offensive run blocker, and I don't really recall him hardly getting any penalties or missing any blocks, even though he did miss one on 2nd and inches last week on a run by Alvin Kamara. But he was their healthiest and most reliable player on the offensive line until, of course, now he's got the foot injury and he's on IR now. So it's kind of irrelevant that he didn't make the Pro Bowl now. But the only other player that I can speak of that I think kind of got snubbed would be Juwan Johnson, because he's second. He leads all tight ends with 7 touchdowns. So that's the only other player that I think really probably got snubbed. So how can the player that is second and out of his position in touchdowns leads all players second in touchdowns not make the roster, the Pro Bowl roster, and he's not on his side either. So he's NFC as well. So Travis Kelce is on the AFC, and he leads all tight ends on the AFC with like 11 or 12 touchdowns, and then Juwan Johnson is in sole possession of leading all tight ends and touchdowns on the NFC with 7. So I don't know really how he didn't make the Pro Bowl off of that. You could easily say, well, he's all pro because he's in sole possession of leading all tight ends and touchdowns in the NFC. So I don't know how he's not a Pro Bowler, all pro, or just even an alternate himself. So that's the only one that's a little confusing to me because Juwan Johnson's had a fantastic season. He's got, I think, 35 catches, 400 plus, a little over 400 yards receiving, and the 7 touchdowns. Like, I mean, come on. I'm highlighting, flashing the markers just all around those touchdowns. Like that's all that matters, baby. Give me them 6 points. But anyways, that's enough about the Pro Bowl that nobody really cares about anyways. They say they don't care about it, but when they get voted in and then they don't get voted in, then they get a little upset about it. So I'm sure players like Ryan Ramczyk, Marshawn Lattimore, uh, Andreas P, Cam Jordan, Alvin Kamara, guys like that were um, Pro Bowl stalwarts, Pro Bowl mainstays that didn't get voted in this year. I bet they care, but that's on them for not being able to make it in this year. They just didn't stay healthy enough or didn't play well enough to get in. So that's more on them. That they do better, do better. So maybe next year, or if they're even on the team, do better next year somewhere else. So, anyways, on to the injury report for this game. We have the final injury report for the game on Christmas Eve, and this is man, the Saints they come back from you're thinking that the team is getting healthier after the bye week, and that they seemed like they were actually pretty healthy. You got your whole offensive line back. You were getting you were getting Pete Warner back, and you were getting Eric McCoy back, and you had Jarvis Landry back for like his second or third game after his ankle injury, and you thought maybe Marshawn Lattimore would be back soon, and man, it looked like the team was relatively healthy finally after a while. Uh, and that's kind of what the bye week would entail. And then they play one game, and you really never saw any players go down in that game or go into the blue medical tent in that game. And like, heck, I was pretty excited after the Atlanta Falcons game. And man, they, I was not expecting the injury report and the injury list to be as bad as it was after that game. Man, they did not come out of that game unscathed. This is just it's something I've been saying for a while now. Like, you think the injury reports and things can't get worse with this season? Don't say that, because it can always get worse, and it just does. It just keeps getting worse and worse with this team. And I'll just before I go through this whole list, I'm just gonna say who it is because, like I said, I mentioned it when going over the Pro Bowl thing. So with Cesar Ruiz, you never saw him go down in the game. You never saw him go in the blue tent. He played the entire game. He played 100% of the snaps. And then the first injury report, or I guess that was on. Trying to think if that was on Wednesday or Thursday. You hear that he's on season-ending IR, whether they make the playoffs or not, he's done for the season. Like, wow, that came out of nowhere. And then it wasn't until Wednesday, I don't think. Then you heard that Jarvis Landry, once again, I guess his ankle flared up, and then he's on IR. He's done for the season. And then uh, Jar, and then Chris Olave, he's got a hamstring, and he's going to be out for this game. And then Pete Warner, who just came back as well, he's got the same hamstring bug, and he's going to be out for this game as well. So it's just like, wow, like you just got some of these guys back, and uh, just got some of these guys back out of IR. They play in one game and then they're gone again. So it's just like, whoa. But let's just go down this entire injury report and just face our demons that we've been facing every week when reading these things off. And I don't even know why I'm reading this name off. He should have been uh, on the list. He should have been joining his teammates on the injured reserve list weeks ago, 10 weeks ago probably. So Marshawn Lattimore abdomen still was limited all week and it's questionable. But I just don't even know why he's still active on the roster. I would be and he's listed as questionable. I would be very surprised if he played in this game. And then you have Marcus May, shoulder, limited all week, questionable. And then Chris Olave, who I just talked about, limited, did not practice, hamstring, did not practice all week, is out. Ryan Ramczyk, rest. We know it's the knee, limited all week, no injury designation. And Jarvis Landry just mentioned that his ankle must have flared up on him because he practiced on Tuesday, but didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday, listed as out. And then Adam Trotman, ankle limited all week, listed as questionable. Dwayne Washington, illness, limited, did not practice all week, out. And then Pete Warner, hamstring, didn't practice all week, out. PJ Williams, knee, limited all week, questionable. Andreas Pete, illness, practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday, and listed as questionable. So it's just like, man, like I said, start to get invested, start to feel a little better about the team. I'm thinking like, yeah, they can beat the Cleveland Browns, like that they're starting to get a little bit healthier and stuff. Like why not? And then man, you just get slapped back to reality, and man, but then Cleveland Browns, that they may, you first glance at their injury report and you think it's just as long, but it's really not because none of their players are actually have like any kind of injury designation. Like they're all just full practice. I guess they have nagging stuff, but nothing serious. So you got Myles Garrett on there. He didn't practice Tuesday, Wednesday, but was limited Thursday. No injury designation. Jadeveon Clowney, that seems to be the only serious injury that they had. He had a concussion, didn't practice all week, is out. Nick Chubb didn't practice all week, was limited on Thursday, no injury designation. Safety John Johnson, thigh, didn't practice all week, was limited on Thursday, listed as questionable. Wide receiver David Bell, toe, limited all week, practiced on Thursday, no injury designation. Guard Joe Patino, rest, didn't practice on Tuesday, full the rest of the week, no injury designation. Amari Cooper, rest and hip, didn't practice all week, was limited on Thursday, no injury designation. Cornerback AJ Green, toe, practiced was full all week, no injury designation. Jordan Kuzak, hamstring, limited all week, full Thursday, no injury designation. Tight end David Njoku, knee, limited all week, full Thursday, no injury designation. Wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones, rest, didn't practice Tuesday, full the rest of the week, no injury designation. Then Denzel Ward's shoulder, limited all week, then full on Thursday, no injury designation. Tackle Jack Conklin, rest, practice on Tuesday, didn't practice on Wednesday, and then full on Thursday, no injury designation. Guard Wyatt Teller, ankle, practiced on Tuesday, limited the rest of the week, no injury designation. So they just have a bunch of people showing up on the injury report, but no injury designation. So they're pretty much healthy as can be for the most part. So pretty much a complete opposite of the Saints injuries, Saints team when it comes to health and stability. And so we'll take a quick look at some players to look at and kind of the Cleveland Browns like mainstays on their offense. So Deshaun Watson, he's played in 3 games for them now, but he hasn't been particularly impressive since he's been back. So even though this is a game where it's going to be like, it's going to feel like -9 degrees, there's going to be 30-mile-per-hour gust of wind, maybe snow precipitation. Like this would just be hilarious if this is the game where Sean Watson ends up throwing for like 300 yards and like 2 touchdowns or something. But I don't think that shouldn't happen. But Sean Watson, so he's played in 3 games. He has 56 completions for 56 completions off of 92 attempts for 60.9 completion percentage, and that's 568 yards. That's a 6.2 average, and that's 189.3 yards a game, and has a 28 long and just 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 6 times, and he has a quarterback rating of 76.7. So that's nothing to get too excited about. But like I said, it would just be so funny if he just be funny and ridiculous and on par if he came out and threw for like 400 yards in a friggin' ice storm or something. And then this is where they're getting the majority of their work done right now, is on the ground. And so Nick Chubb has 252 attempts for 1,252 yards rushing at 5 yards a clip, 41-yard long, and 12 touchdowns. That's 89.4 yards a game. He has 1 fumble, 1 loss, and Kareem Hunt has 110 attempts for 447 yards. That's 4.1 yard average, 24-yard long, and 2 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. That's 31.9 yards a game, and 1 fumble, 0 lost. And I've even seen, I watched a couple of their games, even with Deshaun Watson starting now. I've seen them bring in Jacoby Brissett. So Jacoby Brissett to like run the ball and do quarterback sneaks. So Jacoby Brissett has 48 attempts for 241 yards rushing at 5 yards a clip, a 22-yard long, and 2 touchdowns for 17.2 yards a game, 1 fumble, 1 loss. So wouldn't blow my mind to see Jacoby Brissett in there and maybe kind of run the Taysom Hill type of package on quarterback powers, QB sneaks. So don't be surprised to see Jacoby Brissett in there running the ball at the QB position. And then at receiver, they have Amari Cooper. He has 67 receptions off 115 targets for 932 yards, 13.9 average, 7 touchdowns for 55 long. That's 86. That's 66.6 yards a game. And that's 238 yards after the catch. And Donovan Peoples-Jones has 57 receptions off of 84 targets. That's 782 yards, 13.7 average, 2 touchdowns, 42-yard long. That's 55.9 yards a game, 1 fumble, 1 loss. That's 157 yards after the catch. And David Njoku has 51 receptions off of 67 targets. That's with 551 yards and 10.8 yard average, 3 touchdowns, 38 long, and that's 50.1 yards a game, 1 fumble, 1 lost, and that's 318 yards after the catch, which that's really impressive. More than half of his yards come after the catch. And he has Harrison Bryant. This is their other tight end, who's actually pretty decent. Actually, he has 27 receptions off of 37 targets for 200 yards. That's 7.4 yard average, 1 touchdown, 14.3 yards a game, 90 yards after the catch. So yeah, they got some targets, some decent players there. Njoku, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Mari Cooper. They got three big targets there to keep an eye on. And they got some big names on defense as well to keep an eye on. Grant Delpitz, he played at LSU. Grant Delpitz, he seems to be being pretty successful at Cleveland for the Browns. Grant Delpitz, the safety, played at LSU. He has 88 total tackles, 62 solo, 26 assists. That's their leading tackler. three tackles for loss, 7 pass deflections, 1 interception, and so yeah, that's their leading tackler. Let's see. And then of course Myles Garrett has 42 total tackles, 28 solo, 14 assists, 13 and a half sacks. So that's their leading sacker. He has 4 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles. There is Deion Jones, who's a ex 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 Falcon. Only played in 8 games though. He has 2.5 sacks as well, but he has 32 total tackles, 17 solo, 15 assists. Four tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, an interception. And yeah, Myles Garrett also had 15 tackles for loss as well. And then Taven Bryant has 19 total tackles, 9 solo, 11 assists, 2.5 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Let's see. And Denzel Ward is probably their best cover corner, their shutdown corner, has 5 total tackles, 39 solo, 11 assists, has 1 tackle for loss, 12 pass deflections, 2 interceptions, and 2 fumble recoveries, and a fumble return for a touchdown. So those are their main names on defense. Jadeveon Clowney is also on the defense, but there's no real reason to list off any of his stats because he's not even going to play in this game because he's out of this game as well. He's going to be out of this game with a concussion. And then saying about Cade York, he's a ex-place kicker for LSU. I think he's had a little bit of trouble. I don't know if he's been that great for the Cleveland Browns. No, he hasn't been that great of a player. He's only 22 for 30 for the Cleveland Browns. That's only a 73.3 percentage on field goals. That's not very good. So he hasn't been a great, very good for them, honestly. He's 5 for 5 on 20 to 29 yard field goals, 7 for 10 on 30 to 39 yard field goals, 6 for 8 on 40 to 49 yard field goals, and 4 for 7 on 50 plus yard field goals. And he's 39 for 31 on extra points made. So he's has a 93.5% rating on extra points. So yeah, Cade York has not been great on extra points. The LSU product has not been great on extra points. And so yeah, that's interesting. That's probably might be the most the most important thing for the Cleveland Browns in this game coming up is because of the weather and things like that. place kicking may be the most important thing. That three points may win or lose this game, may decide this game, and the fact that their kicker is struggling uh, may really decide this game. But who knows? Who knows really how good Will Lutz is when it comes to kicking outdoors consistently in weather like this, because he doesn't have to kick outdoors consistently in conditions like this, because obviously Cade York has kicked outside in this weather in more games. He's kicked out in it in the 14 games that he's played. Probably he's kicked outside probably in worse conditions in it more than Will Lutz has in the 14 games he's played this season. To that level of 73.3%, I'm not so sure though. But anyways, that kind of highlights their players to watch. But now on to kind of uh, my hot takes for this game, and it kind of comes back to this weather and what I think the Saints will kind of need if they have like any chance of winning this game, and it also comes back kind of to like the injured players as well, and I, I you know it came up in the last podcast when it came to what should they do with Cesar Ruiz being out, and should they move Trevor Penning into that spot, and I want to see more Trevor Penning, honestly. So I kind of hope they do. I hope they do move Trevor Penning into that right guard spot so we get to see a little bit more of him. So I hope they move Trevor Penning into that right guard spot. And so I hope we get to see Trevor Penning there. And I hope we get to see Trevor Penning pancake one or two people while he's at that position. And I hope he ends up paving the way for Alvin Kamara to rush for hopefully 100 yards and a touchdown, because Alvin Kamara only has one touchdown on the season, two touchdown. I think he has like one or two rushing touchdowns, or one rushing touchdown and two receiving touchdowns on the season. I think that's like all he has on the season. So maybe Alvin Kamara will be able to get another touchdown. I think all of his touchdowns came, all three of Alvin Kamara's touchdowns came in the game against the Oakland Raiders. So maybe Alvin Kamara will be able to get maybe his fourth touchdown on the season in this game against the Cleveland Browns. So I'm gonna predict that Trevor Penning will start in the guard position and will get a couple pancake blocks and pave the way for Alvin Kamara to rush for 100 yards and a touchdown. And on the flip side of that, I think a lot of people are building up Bradley Chubb to go off in this game and rush for 100 yards and do the same thing that Tyler Algier did last week to the Saints in the Falcons game, and rush for 150 yards, 200 yards. And actually, yeah, the Cleveland Browns are probably going to rush for a bunch of yards again, and probably rush for 200 yards and something ridiculous like that. Yeah, that's probably going to happen. I believe, yeah, that's more than likely going to happen. But actually, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm actually going to say that Kareem Hunt is actually going to rush for more yards than Bradley or not Bradley Chubb, but I don't know if I called him Bradley Chubb or not. Maybe I did. I don't know if I did. But Nick Chubb is what I meant to say. Nick Chubb is probably going to rush for more, is going to rush for more yards than Kareem Hunt is going to rush for more yards than Nick Chubb. And I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be inflated. It may be just because it's inflated at some point in the game. Um, Kareem Hunt may bust off some 50-yard touchdown run or get brought down at, in the red zone just short of a touchdown or something like that. But something weird is going to happen where Kareem Hunt is going to have more at the end of the day. Kareem Hunt is going to end up having more rushing yards than than Nick Chubb. I know I got a tongue twister. That's got some kind of brain blockage here, keeping me from saying Nick Chubb or keeping me wanting me to say Bradley Chubb instead of Nick Chubb. I know it's weird. So those are my two hot takes. So uh, Trevor Penning is going to pave the way for Alvin Kamara to rush for 100 yards and a touchdown, and Kareem Hunt is going to end up having more rushing yards than Nick Chubb on the day. And then for my pick to win this game, I know a lot of people are probably down on the Saints. A lot of other podcasters, a lot of Saints media people don't think the Saints have any kind of chance with all the Saints players that are hurt in this game. Leading up to this game, probably don't give them any chance. But honestly, I felt that way when I saw all these injuries come out. But then I kind of looked at it at hindsight a little bit. And the reason that I looked at that kind of at hindsight, because I'll just start out with the first injury that came out. So I kind of basically just read it off for you because so Cesar Ruiz goes out, and well, I'm talking about his replacement right now. So you can implant Trevor Penning to go in at that spot and fill in for that slot. So maybe Trevor Penning can give you good snaps there and maybe fill in and at least, if nothing else, be a good run blocker there. So maybe Trevor Penning can fill in for the loss of Cesar Ruiz. So maybe that won't be too bad. But then you lose Jarvis Landry. So, but really, is that big of a loss losing Jarvis Landry? Yeah, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. But we've been missing him for like the last month or two, honestly. And since he's been back, he's been like 50-50. Either he drops it or he tries to catch it in one hand it and drop it, or he tips it up in the air for an interception. So is that really that much of a loss to lose Jarvis Landry? Not really. So is it that big of a loss to lose Jarvis Landry? Not really. And then Chris Olave, that one, yeah, that stings. That hurts a little bit. But really, how much were they going to throw in this game anyways? Because of the 30-mile-per-hour gust and side winds and stuff. I would hope that they were only going to throw it in this game maybe 10 times anyways. And then the last one that probably had people upset was Pete Warner. Well, I mean, he had already missed 4 games before the game against the Falcons, and honestly, uh, Caden Ellis had filled in great for him before he'd come back, and so we kind of had filled his spot anyways, and hell, he got ran over by Tyler Algier and Cordell Patterson's a couple times in the game against the Falcons. So yeah, it sucks that we didn't get to see more. We aren't going to get to see more of Pete Warner in this game against the Cleveland Browns. But did he really do a great job of stopping the run against the Cleveland Browns? Or not the Cleveland Browns, but the Atlanta Falcons anyway. So I think we're got kind of used to not having Pete Warner over the last 4 weeks anyway. So it's not like he got really back ingrained in the game plan anyway. So it's not that big of a loss for the players they lost and the game plan that they're going to be implementing in this game anyway. So at first, losing all those players felt like a big hit, but in hindsight, at least the hindsight that I'm trying to make myself feel better about this game, so I can get invested in it to feel as if they can win and still be in the playoffs. It's not as bad as it really seems, but that's what I'm going to try to make myself believe at least before I predict the Saints to win this game, because I am going to predict the Saints to win this game, and I'm going to predict them to win this game 12-9. It's going to be a low scoring game. So there's going to be some wacky stuff happening. Obviously, the Saints are going to score a touchdown somewhere in there. There's probably going to be some missed extra points. There's going to be some settling for field goals, and hopefully field goals are going to be made at a precedence, probably field goals missed, extra points missed. Who knows, maybe a safety is going to have to be made. There's going to be a safety taken or made in there somewhere to make this score. But that's what I'm going to go with. It's going to be a low scoring game. I don't know. That's the thing. The number one receiver in this game is Rashid Shaheed, and he's mostly a deep threat, but I don't know how you're going to throw a 50-yard bomb to Rashid Shaheed in this type of weather. But so I guess you're going to see a lot of Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway. But anyways, I'm going to pick the Saints to win 12-9, and I think with that, that's all I have for you. So, who dat, and happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and whatever holidays you celebrate. And can I get a check, please?